This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips, techniques, and trips video.
In this video, we're going to discuss the application and construction of necklaces for second stages. Necklaces actually have applications in both technical diving and in recreational diving. For technical diving, a diver will typically use a long hose second stage regulator, which he'll normally breathe off of, and in an out of gas situation they'll donate that, and then what they'll do is they will then breathe off of their backup second stage regulator, which has a necklace and is then frequently referred to as the necklace regulator. Necklaces also have application to recreational diving, and part of that is because many divers are going to the long hose donation technique, which is the same as that with technical divers, with the exception that both second stage regulators are mounted on a single first stage regulator instead of two different first stage regulators as in technical diving. The other application, the other recreational application for necklaces is the occasional need for a diver to need to secure a regulator in their mouth. And we did encounter this one time when an individual had a physiological situation where he would periodically and randomly open his mouth and his regulator would pop out. So what we did was we used a regulator necklace to make sure that his regulator stayed in his mouth. Alright, so we're going to come back to the second stage here in a little bit. What we're going to do next is we're going to talk about the construction of the necklace. There are pre-made silicone necklaces out there. We think that a better solution is to make your own bungee necklace out of shock cord, and you can make this using 1/8 inch 5/32 or even 3/16 inch shock cord bungee, but 1/4 is probably too thick. So you're going to need a piece of bungee which is between 40 and 44 inches long, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie the regulator necklace using 2 knots. So the first knot we're going to form is going to have a working end of the bungee, which is this piece here, and the other piece here, and I'm going to put the working end of the bungee on top of the other end, and I'm going to give myself about 4 inches or 5 inches on top. So I'm going to take the working end and I'm going to twist it twice around the other piece of bungee, and then I'm going to form a kind of an X here like that over it. Then I'm going to continue going over the other piece of bungee, and then I'm going to go and stick the working end through the whole knot. So I'm going to pull this tight, and you have to be careful where you're pulling, and it's going to look like this. So you're going to have one side which has 2 parallel wraps, and then on the other side you're going to have a wrap that looks like a shape of an X. Alright, so that's the first knot. Alright, so we're going to do the second knot here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to form the loop here that we're going to be putting the mouthpiece around, and I'm going to go behind the main piece of bungee here so that it's even on both sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do 2 wraps over this, and then I'm going to come behind it, the loop, the bungee loop, and then I'm going to fit both through the top like that, and I'm going to start pulling. Okay, so again, we have the two parallel wraps here, and we have the X right here, like that. All right, so you can take the excess here that you have, and you can cut that off. You can cut that off and burn it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my second stage, and what we want to do is put this around here and tighten up the bungee. But what I like to do is I like to use 2 wire ties to secure the mouthpiece, and this will become apparent why in a minute. And what you want to do is you want to secure it with 2 wire ties instead of 1 wire tie, and you want to make this even, so you have to simultaneously pull both at the same time, and you want to have this so that it's approximately sideways like that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to now take a scissors, my multi-tool here, and by the way, there will be a following video on multi-tools for scuba diving, and this one works really well, and we're going to cut off the two nubs there. So what we're going to do with our bungee is we're going to put it over the nubs, and we're going to pull the bungee tight. And so what the nubs do is they have a function where they trap the bungee behind them next to the mouthpiece. So if we do that, what that will do is it will keep the necklace on there unless we really want to pull it off. Alright, so that's the front part. I'm going to just go ahead and cut off the bungee, the excess bungee here. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to burn that as well, so it doesn't unravel. This one might cause me a little bit of a problem. Okay. All right, so that takes care of the front half of the bungee, the necklace bungee. Now, there is usually going to be a little bit of excess, and if you don't want to have it hang too low, what you can then do is you can take the other end over here, and you can simply tie an overhand knot to whatever length you want to have, and that will take out some of the excess. So this will then fall right underneath your chin, and you will be able to access it readily. Now, there is an alternative way of doing this, adjusting the bungee to the right length, and that is by using a toggle like this, which is used to secure shock cord and other things. And so in this case, this particular one has 2 different sides. So if I were to stick this on there, I'd either have to stick it on there before I tied the bungee off, or I'd have to cut this and then fit it over and put it through. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is one that I've already done that with, which is this one here. And in this case, I actually put the little toggle on here before I started tying the bungee knots and everything. So what you do is you press the button, and you can adjust the length of the bungee. If you don't do that, it provides much more resistance. Okay, so why is this important to have this be adjustable versus tying a knot? And that's if you need to have your regulator secured to your mouth so it can't pop out. This will give you the proper type of length in order to do that. So I did hear of a story, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a technical diver who did something and anticipated being bent, and so he wasn't sure if he was going to seize or if he was going to become incapacitated or not. And so what he did was he actually adjusted his bungee necklace so that his regulator could not fall out of his mouth. So if you have a setup like this in an emergency like that, it might actually do something for you. Okay, so this is the end of the bungee. You can either tie a knot, or you can use a device like a toggle like this in order to secure it. Okay, so that's it for this video.
This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching. If you find this content useful, please subscribe.